David?
David Moore, Dallas Morning News. With the 5 weeks after the all-season program to here, how would you assess the retention of the offensive players with the changes you made and where you are in that? Are you pleased with what they retained and kind of where they are at this point?
Yes, I am. I think the team has had a very productive 5 week, that 5 week break. You can definitely see it in, particularly the young guys. So if you look at the missed assignments and the mental errors, it's just like anything. The mental errors is more about decision making and the connection and making full speed decisions. So you're always going to have some of those, but yeah, I think they've done a really good job. And the other part is I like the conditioning of the team. Now this will be the first time we go 2.5 hours. So we'll take another step there. But when you look at the numbers and how guys are working, so we're knock on wood, we're off to a really good start. So the tempo, the play style, practice, it's the energy part's correct. The discipline part is not, and that's normal. At this point in camp. So, but I like the look of the practices so far.
We talked about the competitiveness and the discipline. Do you like the trash talking, and do you have to talk to Micah about not tackling Dak Prescott?
Well, trash talking is part of our environment. So I don't referee that, and it's there's. There's it goes on in the lunch line. So it's not like it's something new, and it's been going on as long as I've been in this league. So yeah, I think that's just part of our our culture and guys competing. But in Micah's case and anything with the we have practice ethic, rules and structure to our drills, and you go through these spots all the time. But we don't hit the quarterback. The quarterback hasn't been hit, as far as the way you practice and in my 30 years that I could recall in this league. So that's all part of working together. And the discipline of the rush lane discipline, the discipline of the pass protection unit, fitting together. And this is why you have camp. We have a tremendous amount of work to do in the area of technique and fundamentals, and you're only going to get it done in pads. If you think about it, the offensive linemen and the D linemen, this is really the only third practice that they can really engage and compete. That's similar, not all the way to game day, where the perimeter has, they have more opportunities to compete at a full speed mode. You didn't like my answer, Clarence? Oh, okay, good.
Of course, great answer.
No, you focused today. Threw me off.
Mike, Todd Archer, the ESPN. Why is today the longer day for the that you guys?
Well, all these practices are regulated. There's limits and everything you do there in the first week. So you have ramp up, and then you have time limits on the first 2 padded practices. So, but yeah, this is a good progression. And end of the day, we're able to hit our target for training, and because the big thing too is you got the education component, the walkthroughs and talk-throughs and those types of things. So we're getting plenty of reps. But yeah, we're staying. We follow the rules here, Todd. So.
John Michaud, The Athletic. With DeMarcus Lawrence is going into his 10th season. What have you seen from him out here? And I know last year he dealt with some stuff he had to play through. Like, how fresh do you think he is? Well,
I think he's fresh, but also we got, I think we are all, better, smarter, as you move, through this league. I'm talking about myself included as far as how you rep people and get them ready. Obviously, we've been working now. This will be year 4, so I think I have a very good understanding on what he needs, from a volume perspective. And but D-Law he only has 1 gear, and that's what you always love about him. And but we're being smart with him and some of these other veterans.
Saad Yusuf, The Athletic. Mike, what have you seen from Deuce Vaughn so far, and what are you looking for in whatever combination you have for the committee at running back behind Tony?
Well, I think, in Deuce's case, I think the first impression is very smart, very instinctive and aware. So I think, football, it comes fairly natural to him. So that's impressed me. He has a unique skill set. So, as far as how he'll play and what we do. I mean, it's just like he's like the other backs. He needs to learn all the basics, from the run to the protection to the pass, and I think he's done a very good job of that. But how we utilize those guys moving forward, that's really for preseason games, and there'd definitely be some projection for the regular season.
Hi, Bree Marantha, Sports Illustrated Fan Nation. There's been so many highlights already of training camp, but do you have a favorite moment so far? Favorite moment?
I'll say this, probably the second day of pads, because that's where you kind of feel like you're in the realm of where you need to be. I think so much is made out of the first day, so there's always some extra anxiety, wasted energy, false chatter, and things like that. And I think once they get used to their pads and they settle in, and everybody's more focused on what we're doing, and not as much about what the other guy's doing. I think that's really when you have the opportunity to grow in the fundamentals, techniques, and particularly the team periods, because we need the team periods. We need the padded team periods, and I think really once you get to that second padded practice, that's when you start moving down the road in the right direction.
Hi, Mike. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Injury updates on Sam Dorrance and Saul Simi Fehoko was getting some rehab work.
Yeah, they're all being in a limited space. Actually, we're going to see how. Britt will give me an update on what he's going to try to get done at the beginning of practice, and if we project them in too. So that's kind of, I'd put them in a limited category right now.
Got Snyder Dixon with the AP. I'm not looking for a Dak Aaron comparison here, but I'm just wondering, from your point of view, now that you're a little bit closer to building the offense with Dak, how do you compare building an offense with Dak to the days of building one with Aaron?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities. As far as you look at Dak's investment, obviously Aaron and Brett and Joe Montana, and I go back to that, they were able to play in the same system their whole career. And, I think I just heightened their greatness, the ability to have concepts over and over and over again, and just have clear understanding of the details, I remember in 2011 when Aaron won the MVP, and it was, the conversation we had after that was, your biggest challenge moving forward is going to be yourself, because you've mastered the offense, his complete understanding, and now how he grows with his perimeter teammates and all those connections, and because things change in this game from a personnel perspective. So when I look at Dak, I think he's entering that phase of his career where he has complete understanding of the offense, but where he is today is because the changes we have made, he just needs reps in them. But I thought he crushed it, him and the quarterbacks, in the offseason of all the extra things that we put on their plate in the area of protection in the pass game. The run game is very similar to what it's been. So, there's, as far as conceptually and how we apply it mechanic-wise, so I feel good about him there. But, he just needs to continue to get these reps and so forth, because at the end of the day, the master of the offense is what gives us the best chance to be who we are. And I think he's definitely, he's right there and ready to take off.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. What's your evaluation of the open competition at kicker so far, and should we expect more mojo moments coming up?
Well, we're definitely, kicking them as much as we can. And I'm not, if I tell you what the mojo moment is today, I'd have to shoot you. So I don't want to do that. So we'll see. But it won't be today. I'll just give you that. So it won't be today. Yeah.
Bill.
Mike, Bill Jones, CBS Texas. DeMarcus Ware going into the Hall of Fame. How was it as an offensive play caller dealing with D. Ware?
He's right over there, guys. Make sure, he's that Monday night, Tuesday morning protection meeting. He just not only a great rusher, but his tenacity. He never quit. So. Yeah, he was definitely, just a few times I've had a chance to compete against him. I think the greatest compliment that you can give a rusher is if you apply chips and thumps and extra protection to him, and he definitely was on our list. Great player, great player.
Mike Jory, Epstein, Yahoo Sports. You talked about what has changed in this offense, and footwork seems to be a really big emphasis. Can you describe, what you're looking for from Dak for his footwork this year, and how that might be different than the way the offense was previously?
Well, a big thing about footwork, and it's each and every year you're always trying to, because it never stays the same, because who you're thrown to doesn't usually all stay the same. in the old days, sometimes those guys were able to play 6, 7, 8 years together, and they're just because of the state of our league, the youth, the youth of our league, and is really just, it's the connection of the footwork and the routes. So it's one thing to say you're going to improve the quarterback's footwork, but it's the connection between the footwork and the routes, the progression of the routes. So, and I think our guys are doing a really good job. So it's more of a perimeter emphasis than just a quarterback emphasis.
Bill Coates, 92.1 FM, Team Sports Radio in East Texas. Mike, speaking of future Hall of Famers, now that you've had Stephon Gilmore for a while, given his resume, what have you seen from him, not just on the field, but the intangibles too?
Well, Hall of Fame resume, no doubt. But I think, clearly, you have the opportunity to compete against, these excellent veteran players across the field, and then once you have a chance to work with him. I mean, he's been everything we thought he would be, and then some. Man, super instinctive, and his understanding of splits and formations, route combinations. I'm top notch. I was always so impressed with him. I think the last time went against him was up there in New England in 18, and he played extremely well that night. So he's a great fit for us. I really love his professionalism. He's all about it as far as the extra things, internally, externally. So a great addition for us.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. Austin Richards, how have you seen him come along now that he's had work in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's like all the other guys. He just we need to get our cleats in the ground, get our second step in the ground, get our pads down. But I think the biggest thing you have to be impressed with is position flex for a young guy. So, like everything about him, but he's just like all of our linemen. We need to work.
Mike, we've asked you a lot this offseason about what percentage of change is the offense over what it was, but what percentage of change has it been from you with the offensive concept you came in here initially? I mean, how much of that is really kind of incorporated now from what's taking place for the first 3 years?
Well, the goal was because at the end of the day, there's so much responsibility from the quarterback position is to build off of the concepts that were in place. Because I just and obviously going back to 2020, I just didn't think that was the best thing for Dak Prescott. So and that's still the case. So we still went back, looked at every concept that he's had. Obviously, had some input once we were able to get together with him, and and just if we needed it, great. If we didn't, then we moved on. So because I definitely he's played a tremendous amount of football, and it was critical for us to build off that.
Coach, just a clarification. There's a lot of talk back in March or February about you wanting to run the damn ball. How does that jive with what you want to do with the offense? I think there was some misunderstanding of what you meant by that.
Yeah, the run the ball comment was really tied to 2020. We were at lunch, we're having a nice time, and I flew all the way up there to be with you wonderful people, and I don't know how maybe I misinterpreted it too, so I'll take some responsibility. But in 2020, I mean, just look at the way we played. We had a lot of injuries. I think we played 4 quarterbacks. And, we had Zeke and Tony. So, when we came out of that, it was like, we need to run the ball more. And it was more about, the ball going to the, to your playmakers. So, and, I think if you just do the numbers in 21 and 22, I mean, that's, I felt like we definitely increased it in 21 and then even did it more in 22. But, I think you have to every year. You got to make sure you're always, that's why you go back to the concept question. You just can't decide what concepts you want to do in February, March. I mean, you have a draft in April. You got veteran free agency that goes, there's still players out there today. So, you got to make sure your system in your menu of how you want to play in the upcoming year, fit your players. So, but yeah, as far as running the football is very important, and it's very important for your offensive linemen not to be on their heels all day, So first and second down, that's a major emphasis for us, and it's really how you fit the action pass game. So I mean, statistics don't always tell the whole story, and I think that's where, you know, the run pass options come in, because, you know, as long as you still have that run blocking unit coming off the ball, there's benefits to that, because you have to wear down these defensive fronts in football. I mean, if you don't have 5 number 1 picks on your defensive line, then you're behind the rest. So these are the things we think about, and you know, time of possession is something that'll be a focal point for me this year. We need to win that time of possession, because the more time we can, you know, obviously stay on the field. Obviously, you want to score points. That's always number one. But I think it'll just make our defense even stronger. So that's our viewpoint. That's really, you know, the comment was really referring to 2020.
Coach Arnold Kane, WFAA TV, piggybacking on Christie's question about the kickers. Can you just comment on the fact that it is still a wide open position, and specifically on Brandon Aubrey's journey to get here?
Yeah, great story. You know, obviously, and has an extremely live leg. You know, Tristan also, you know, he's someone who, you know, we had at the end of last year. So I think you got 2 really good, you know, young prospects that have had different journeys, which I like, because they have a lot of experience. There's been adversity for them to overcome, which is definitely, you know, part of that skill set. So I think this will be a very, very healthy competition. So because they both can stroke the ball.
How encouraged have you been by Devontae Turpin from an offensive perspective?
Yeah, clearly, you know, stating the obvious, you know, he joined us this time last year, so now that he's had a spring to go through all the installs, you know, I look at him now as a receiver that rotates in there, not someone that we just have to put in there for certain things. And so, you know, that's a credit to, you know, what he's done and Robert Prince has done with him. So, I mean, he's got a unique skill set. I mean, he's got an incredible stride length, and his quickness speaks for itself. But, you know, Terp's done, he's done something almost every day, you know, that makes the tape, you know, the correction tapes and the highlight tapes that we do. So he's having a good camp.
Mike, as the offensive play caller, like you said, you're back in your element. Super competitive guy. Dan Quinn, the same Dan Quinn, also said that, you know, you're having a lot more fun. And he said in minicamp that he was looking forward to getting out here in training camp so you guys can play that chess match. When you have a day like you did offensively on Tuesday, red zone as prolific as your offense was, post-practice, have you guys already had some fun and competitive ribbing?
God, I hate to disappoint you. I was going to try to make something up. But, yeah, to be honest with you, it's, you know, we're going through these installs, we're reviewing them, so it's really more about, you know, us getting our concepts in, and, you know, and then when we get together at night with him and Brian, it's, you know, he'll say, hey, I could use more action pass. So you know, at some point when we get to the end here, or probably, you know, next week, you know, we'll have some call-it periods, so that'll be fun. The 2-point was probably the first call-it period that we had. So yeah, those are always fun and competitive. The 2-minute drills, so yeah, definitely that's fun. But I'll be honest with you, and I think he's the same way. We're just really focused on getting these young guys the proper reps, because, you know, our efficiency has to be the best that it can be, going through these install phases and just going back to the live reps and team. But yeah, so yeah, we're having fun.
Mike, physically, guys like Zach Martin and Tyron Smith have been doing this long enough that they know what they're doing. But when you talk about how you're changing the protections this year, and that's one of the bigger changes in the offense, does Zach working with everybody else matter a little bit more?
No, I'll be honest, I have zero concerns about Zach, and because, you know, Tyler. I mean, they were together every day throughout the off season. So, you know, everything that we're doing here now, Zach already has. So yeah, you know, Zach he'll be just fine.
All righty.
Thank you.